Let's bring in Kelsey Bolar of the Heritage Foundation. Kelsey, I thought this was all about changing voters' minds. It looks like it changed the media's minds.
This hearing was clearly a big flop, and the media was very disappointed by that. It was interesting to see networks like CNN and MSNBC actually admit so much that Mueller clearly had no command over his own report. You kind of got some secondhand embarrassment when we, members of the media, knew the answers to the questions that he appeared confused about. But that said, yes, much of the media is admitting now that this hearing did nothing to help them on the front of impeachment, but there's still plenty of media bias going around. The New York Times headline, for example, this morning read, "Mueller defends inquiry and says Russia is not done." Well, sure, that happened, but is that what anybody is talking about today? No, they're clearly trying to downplay how damaging this hearing was for Democrats.
Yeah, Russia's still, of course, an issue. Russian interference now, we're finding from Senate intelligence, dated back at least as 2014. I hear your point. And the point you're making about the media analysts is a good one. Listen to the analysts now admitting that, hey, they were wrong. One of them is saying we should have listened more closely to Republicans. Let's watch this.
Well, I think the Republicans or conservatives are crying out now that this was a disaster for the Democrats. It wasn't just Mueller's hesitancy, but in fact the substance wasn't there. And they came prepared to fight. I had not expected that. I mean, they were much more coordinated.
Yes.
They presented, they presented things, frankly, we haven't talked about much on CNN. Aspects of this that are on the right, but we don't, we haven't visited them because we don't put much stock in a lot of what they're arguing.
In terms of what happens next, certainly, yes, a lot of our hot takes are wrong. But you know who else hears those hot takes? Are lawmakers, and Democrats in particular.
Wow. So listen to Republicans. If we're wrong, Congress is listening to how we're wrong, Kelsey? Did you hear that?
It's amazing for these networks to finally listen to a perspective that's different from their own. And perhaps if they did this earlier, we could be in a much more healthy political environment. But that said, Republicans did do a good job in raising important questions yesterday into why this whole investigation got started. Those questions deserve to be answered. And after learning that Mueller appears to possibly not be the key author on his own report, that there possibly could be Clinton supporters or operatives who were more in charge of this investigation, those questions really deserve to be answered.
You know, it feels like the run-up to 2016. The media didn't get it right. Now it feels like the run-up to Mueller, they didn't get it right. Let's listen to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg smacking back and saying, hey, Kamala Harris, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, your idea about packing the Supreme Court, wrong. Watch this.
9 seems to be a good number, and it's been that way for a long time. I think that was a bad idea when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt tried to pack the court.
You got a quick 10 seconds, Kelsey, your final word.
Never did I think that Ruth Bader Ginsburg would be the reasonable one that we're now pointing to, but that's really how far Democrats have shifted to the left.
Kelsey, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Just ahead.